Hello, it's Julie from Do Business Like a Woman. Today I'm talking about how to build a business for the woman that struggles for energy. And I'm talking about this because I was sitting with a client the other day and I could tell that despite the kind of happy, bubbly exterior she was projecting, she was really struggling for energy. And I could tell that there was a world of struggling and suffering going on the inside, beyond the happy exterior that she was upkeeping. And I wanted to talk to this because this is a story that's really common amongst the women I support, amongst female entrepreneurs. And also I could relate because it's me too. You know, I have been there in the past. Sometimes I am still there, in that I struggle for energy sometimes too. And I am here to tell you that if you are highly sensitive, if you are prone to anxiety or depression, if you struggle for energy and you have health issues that you're dealing with, you do not have to try to shoehorn yourself into the hustle mode of business that is so common out there. And I really think you shouldn't, because that can be really harmful to women like us. And I'm here to tell you that there is a different way, and that despite any issues you may have, whether they be anxiety, depression, low energy, health problems, whatever they are, you can still create an amazing, thriving business. That is my message for you in this video today. And I'm going to share a bit about my experience of that, because, my story is I have a chronic health condition. I have endometriosis. I have had to build my business around it. And, sometimes I have depression. Sometimes I have some anxiety. And I don't think I'm alone in this. I know there are people out there for whom these are not issues, but typically the kind of women that I work with and the kind of women that are attracted to my brand usually have something like this going on. And I really want to reassure you that it doesn't mean that we can't have a gorgeous, amazing business and life. It just means that we have to do things in a little bit of a different way. And I'm here to share what that different way is, because what I see that doesn't work out there is women trying to really shoehorn themselves into the masculine kind of way of doing business, and the hustle model that's out there, the Tony Robbins, rah, 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 Gary V, hustle, work 20 hours a day, push through. And women are trying to do this, and they're trying to put on this happy face all the time when that's really not what's going on inside. And in my experience, typically for us, this doesn't work, because we're all about being authentic. We are all about creating from a really authentic, genuine, loving place inside of ourselves. And so if we don't have that connection to ourselves, it doesn't work. We can't kind of bring the joy, we can't bring the creativity, and it all feels very dry. And typically what I see as a woman disconnected from herself, I see a woman struggling to create results in her business. I see a sad woman with a happy face painted on, doing all the personal development stuff, doing all the kind of things we're told to do that will bring us a success, putting in the hours, yes, but she actually would be better just stopping and resting. She'd actually be better just switching off and going and reconnecting with herself. Now, I'm not saying don't work. Of course, that has to be balanced with taking action and finding the strategies and things to move you forward. But typically, if a woman is disconnected, no strategy in the world is going to help her. And so it's really getting this foundational piece first. And there's really a different way for us to do business, which is much more connected, is much more loving, is much more heart aligned, led by the soul, is much more in flow. And I've also got some practical kind of tips for how to manage your energy as well that I've accumulated over the years. So, this is what I think we need to be doing. I've got some notes here because I want to make sure I hit all the points so you get lots of value. So I am interested in a model of business where we heal as we grow, and the healing and the business growth happen together hand in hand. This has been my experience. I know it's not the same for everyone. Hi, Karen, lovely to have you with me. It's not the same for everyone, but this is what I want to empower for you, is that you can heal as you create this business, and you can create levels of success. And so, you know, I have been working with a client recently who has some anxiety as well. And she just needed to take some time out recently. And this is not a coaching client. This is one of the very few online business manager clients that I have left, who I choose to keep, who I help to kind of consult and run her business. And she had some anxiety, and she just needed to take some time out. And myself and the other members of the team were able to support her in that and with that. And so, you know, this was an amazing thing. And so good support, having people who get it, having people who understand, people who are on the same path as you, that's my tip number one. You know, when I was out there in the world with a job, trying to shoehorn myself into the masculine linear ways of doing things, it was really hard for me, and I didn't really have that same support. Now, I was working in an office once, and there were, I think, about 7 of us in there, and 2 of them got signed off with depression, and others also had some issues too. So I just think that that's crazy. But anyway, it's really about having the good support. It's about having people that get it, not comparing ourselves to others. You know, this has been a big one for me, because when I compare where I am to somebody else who's usually way further along the line, you know, that just brings me down and makes me feel crappy. So why would I do that to myself? Be gentle with ourselves, not harsh. So, you know, this is tied in. It's like, when we are feeling that way, to just be really gentle and have good self-talk. You know, I have a colleague, a friend, who says that our level of spiritual advancement is how well we can talk to ourselves when we're going through the crap, right? So having good self-talk, being your own best friend, and being very loving with yourself through the process, even on the harder days. You know, now habits are your best friend. So habits and routines, particularly for the woman who struggles with energy. So, you know, I would say, like, habits and routines have been my savior, because even on the days where I have less energy, I have certain habits that I do regardless, and they are like health habits. They keep me going. And so it's like knowing then when to rest and when to push through, because there are times when your body is calling you and you need to listen, and you genuinely need to take time out and rest and get back in alignment with yourself. But then there are also times where it's prudent to push through, and it is appropriate. You know, sometimes we do have to hustle a little bit, but as long as we're not doing it all the time, to get things done, to get through a launch, to, you know, do the Facebook Live that we've committed to doing. So there is a time to push through, and there's a time to do things even when we don't feel like it. So it's all about learning to read yourself and knowing yourself and your own body and your own health levels. You know, what can you do to keep yourself healthy, both physically, you know, mentally and spiritually? What practices and habits do you need to put into place every day? And then what brings you joy? You know, this is so important. And I feel like so often as female entrepreneurs, we get disconnected from this. We're so busy working, we forget like what brings us joy. And, you know, back to the client story that I was sharing at the beginning, I just feel like, and this is common amongst a lot of my ladies, that sometimes we forget to just kind of have fun and be connected and go out there and like reconnect. And then from that place, that's where all the juice comes through, right? And the excitement comes back into our business. And sometimes it's just about doing that. You know, I'm off to the States, to America next week, to Orlando for a business conference, and I'm really excited about that. I'm also in the process of buying a house. So I have things that juice me that I'm looking forward to. I've also got in my mind a vision about going to stay somewhere just near my dog, and it will be near a beach, you know, a little cottage somewhere, and just taking time out, having a holiday, taking time to read all the books that I haven't had time to read because I've been working, and taking long walks on the beach with my dog. And I think when we do this, it just tops our energy back up and helps us to show up for our business. But having those kind of health habits is important too. And I just think, our energy can get drained in so many ways. A lot of it's mental, a lot of it's, for me anyway, when I get caught in my thoughts about things. And so really catching myself there and noticing when I'm getting sucked in and believing my thoughts and my thinking. Love yourself up, practice amazing self-care. It's so important for us women who are challenged for energy. Your energy comes from how well you treat yourself. So what tops you up? Take this so seriously. You have to be fierce about this. This is not a lovey, soft topic. This is really important. This is your life. And I believe makes the biggest difference in your business as well, and how you show up. So loving yourself up, taking the time for self-care, whatever that means to you, whether that's knowing when you need to take time to switch off completely and doing that, whether it's being out in nature, whether it is just a bubble bath and a pedicure, whatever it is, with natural organic nail varnish, please, not toxic stuff. I would say trust in the process and just keep taking the steps daily. Just keep pushing your edges. If you have a chronic health condition that you're healing, that's a priority. But for me, as I say, the healing and the business growth have gone hand in hand. So it's just pushing myself, right? Well, now I want to move up to doing Facebook Lives more regularly, which I did. And, now I want to be emailing my list once a week, which I did. And just adding those things in, which you're going to do, but knowing not to push yourself too far, because you are working within the confines of your energy. But as you kind of start to feel better and your health feels better and you start enjoying things more, for example, when I left that job that I didn't really love, and now I get to do things on a daily basis that I enjoy with clients I love, and I get to coach clients, which is amazing, and they're brilliant. I love my coaching clients, and I get to work very closely hand in hand with a couple of businesses where I'm really working deeply with them and supporting them, and I'm being very well compensated. All these things just feel good. So it's like taking those steps daily to just kind of lift yourself up one piece at a time, and really looking at the long picture, over a few years rather than, a few months. I mean, a lot can be accomplished in a few months, but don't be down on yourself if you don't make as much progress, and be fine about having down days as well. Just keep an eye on the bigger picture. Where have you come from? What's changed in the last year? There's a saying, I don't know if it is from Tony Robbins or someone like that, and it's like people overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in 10 years. So when I'm feeling crappy about my progress, I like to think back to that, and that lifts my energy up too. I am very careful about what I eat and drink. I follow medical medium protocols for the most part. Sometimes I succumb and I, have cake and things like that. But generally speaking, I aim to detox, and I aim to really follow medical medium, which helps with my physical energy, helps me to heal and to be less sick and to be healthier. And also just becoming the woman who, so become the woman who ... whether for you does a Facebook Live every week, or become the woman who goes to the networking meetings, become the woman who has a full schedule of clients. Who is she? What kind of energy does she show up with? What presence does she have? How can you support yourself in that? How can you cultivate that presence? And don't worry if it's not perfect. Love where you're at. Love the process. Mine is certainly not perfect, I can promise you that, but I'm interested in progress, not perfection. So those are the ways that I really take care of my energy, and I encourage you to do the same. If you are a woman who struggles for energy, as so many of us are, don't try and be the masculine one who's always pushing forward. And to some degree, yes, we can create success that way, but typically we burn out, and typically it's not fun, it's not joyful. We create all kinds of health conditions and manifest all kinds of ill health when we do that. Not to mention, I think, the harm it causes for the planet. So how can you do this in a more graceful way? How can you do this while still honoring yourself and your own energy levels? Don't be frightened to take a nap in the day. Don't be frightened to lay flat. Your adrenals will thank you. Don't feel you have to work 8 hours a day just because it's what everyone else does and it's what everyone says you have to do. You decide how to do this. You create it, right? You get to try things and see what works, and change things around and play around and have fun with it. Yes, we have bills to pay, but I think a lot of the time there are things we can do to make that easier for ourselves. And when you have stuff that work that you love and makes you joyous, it's a whole lot easier to do it and to have high energy levels for it. So, take the steps of where you're at now. Don't compare yourself to me or to anyone else. You're exactly where you need to be, but just keep a sort of loose thing on where you're going. Wouldn't it be cool if, and just keep that in the back of your mind, just keep that in your being, in your body. I am so lucky that I get to work with amazing clients. I am so appreciative of that. It really changes my daily experience. So if you would want that too, just hold that intention loosely and happily, and know that you can have that too. Because if it's possible for me, it's possible for you. So who am I to talk about this? Well, I don't have a perfect, amazing business yet. I'm not at 6 figures yet, by the way, but I did get to leave my job over 3 years ago. I do earn more from my business than I ever earned when I was employed. I do get to work with amazing clients. I do get to coach. I have an amazing life. I get to do really fun things. I get to walk my dog during the day. I'm headed for 6 figures. I'm buying my first home. So I feel like, I have some stuff to share. And if this inspires you in any way, shape or form, if you want any of this for yourself, it's possible for you too, because it was for me. Even if you have challenges with your energy, even if you're highly sensitive, even if you're an introvert, even if you suffer with anxiety and depression sometimes, I really hope this has been helpful. That is my intention. Lots of love to you. So much love from my heart to yours. From my tummy to yours, all the strength, that you need to go out there and make this happen. Lots of love, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.